There's a saying, when the devil ignores you, then you know you're doing something wrong. When the devil comes at you, maybe it's because you're trying to do something right. And for whatever reason, the devil got a hold of you.
Denzel Washington stands out as one of the most respected actors in American cinema today. Over his 40-year career, he has built a reputation based on excellence, dignity, and strong professional values. These qualities have made him not just a great actor, but also someone many people in Hollywood look up to as a moral leader. However, Washington's high standards and personal beliefs have sometimes put him at odds with other actors whose behavior or approach to acting didn't match his own values. The conflict with Russell Crowe, the tension between Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe became most obvious during the filming of American Gangster. Both actors are Oscar winners, and people expected great things from their collaboration in this crime movie directed by Ridley Scott. Washington played Frank Lucas, while Crowe played Richie Roberts, and they were supposed to be enemies on screen. Unfortunately, their different ways of working made it hard for them to work together effectively. Washington is known for his careful preparation and respectful behavior on set. He treats everyone with dignity, from the director to the crew members. Russell Crowe, on the other hand, had a more unpredictable approach to developing his character. He often created conflict and tension, which made other people on set uncomfortable. As one cinematographer noted, Washington worked with incredible dignity and focus, while Crowe seemed to feed off conflict in ways that made everyone else uneasy. Director Ridley Scott found himself having to act like a mediator between the two. Strong-willed actors. Their creative processes were so different that it became difficult to get them to work together smoothly. The situation got worse when Crowe allegedly behaved unprofessionally toward crew members. This violated Washington's core belief that everyone on a film set should be treated with equal respect, no matter what their job is. Washington quietly but firmly stood up for the mistreated crew members. This created lasting bad feelings between him and Crowe. What made this conflict particularly important was that it showed Washington's willingness to sacrifice his own comfort to maintain professional standards. He chose to address inappropriate behavior rather than ignore it, even though speaking up made things more difficult for everyone involved. The disagreement with Sean Penn, the conflict between Denzel Washington and Sean Penn, was different from the others because it was mainly about ideas and beliefs rather than behavior on set. Both actors are serious about their craft and care about social justice, but they have completely different ideas about how celebrities should use their fame to make a difference in the world. Washington prefers to lead by example through private, charitable work. He believes actors should focus on their craft and help others quietly, without making a big public show of it. Penn, however, believes that actors have a responsibility to use their fame to speak out about political issues and social causes. He's not afraid to make controversial statements or take strong public positions on various topics. There are few interactions at industry. Events showed that even though both men are committed to serious dramatic work, they couldn't bridge their fundamental disagreements about how public figures should engage with controversial social issues. A producer who worked with both actors separately observed that Washington believes in changing the world through the work itself. While Penn thinks actors should use their platform for direct political action, the conflict got worse when Penn began making public statements that seemed to criticize actors who stayed more privately engaged with social causes. This led Washington to question whether Penn understood the difference between genuine activism and just trying to create controversy for attention. The situation reached its most uncomfortable point when both actors were involved in charity events where Penn's tendency to make provocative statements conflicted with Washington's preference for focusing on actual charitable work rather than political positioning. The professional distance from Gary Oldman. The conflict between Washington and Gary Oldman stems from their completely different approaches to acting and professional behavior. Both actors are incredibly talented and established themselves as serious dramatic forces in the 1990s. But their contrasting methods created immediate tension. Whenever they were considered for similar roles, Washington has a disciplined approach. 2. Preparing for roles and maintains his character throughout the filming process while still being professional and stable. Oldman, however, has a more chaotic approach to becoming his characters. He often becomes so immersed in his roles that he sometimes loses sight of what's happening in the real world around him during production. A casting director who worked with both actors noted that Oldman disappears so completely into characters that he sometimes loses sight of production realities. While Washington needs collaborators who can access character truth without sacrificing professional responsibility or personal stability, their few industry encounters showed that even though both actors were committed to transformative acting, they couldn't overcome their fundamental differences about how that transformation should be achieved and maintained. The conflict deepened when Oldman's reputation for unpredictable behavior and alleged substance abuse issues became common knowledge in the industry. Washington heard about these issues through trusted collaborators. And Oldman's later public statements about various controversial topics only reinforced Washington's assessment that the British actor lacked the personal stability necessary for a meaningful long-term collaboration. The breakdown with Mel Gibson. The antagonism between Denzel Washington and Mel Gibson represents one of Hollywood's most morally significant conflicts. Their relationship went from early professional respect to complete personal and artistic separation following Gibson's series of public controversies and personal scandals. In the 1990s, when both actors were at the height of their careers, Washington initially expressed admiration for Gibson's abilities as a director and his commitment to dramatic roles. However, their relationship suffered irreparable damage when Gibson's pattern of controversial statements and alleged personal misconduct violated Washington's fundamental beliefs about human dignity and professional responsibility. The breaking point came with Gibson's well-documented legal troubles and public statements that Washington found morally reprehensible and professionally unacceptable. Director Antoine Fuqua, who worked extensively with Washington on multiple projects, observed that Washington has zero tolerance for behavior that demeans other people. Once he lost respect for someone's character, that relationship became impossible to repair, regardless of their professional abilities or past accomplishments. Washington's response to Gibson's controversies demonstrated his willingness to sacrifice potential collaborative opportunities rather than associate with individuals whose conduct contradicted his personal values. His quiet but firm distance from Gibson sent clear signals throughout the industry about the standards he expected from professional collaborators. The conflict became particularly painful for Washington because he had initially seen promise in Gibson's artistic vision and directorial talent, making the moral disappointment more profound than a simple professional disagreement. The generational clash with Katherine Heigl. The professional tension between Denzel Washington and Katherine Heigl represents a fascinating study in generational differences about work ethic, professional gratitude, and industry respect. When both actors found themselves working on projects with overlapping promotional schedules, their brief interactions revealed fundamentally incompatible attitudes toward professional responsibility and career management. Washington's old school approach emphasizes respecting collaborators and expressing gratitude for opportunities. This directly contradicted Heigl's more contemporary willingness to publicly criticize projects and colleagues when she wasn't personally satisfied with how things turned out. Their few professional encounters demonstrated that even though both actors were committed to performance excellence, they couldn't bridge their fundamental differences about professional conduct. A publicist who worked with both actors during award season campaigns noted that Washington comes from a generation that believes you support your collaborators publicly, even when private disagreements exist. Heigl, however, represents a newer approach that prioritizes personal authenticity over diplomatic loyalty. The conflict crystallized when Heigl's pattern of publicly criticizing her own projects and co-workers became industry knowledge that reached Washington through entertainment media coverage. Her comments about various collaborators violated his fundamental beliefs about professional loyalty and collaborative respect. Their mutual incompatibility became most evident during industry events, where Washington's dignified professionalism contrasted sharply with Heigl's more casual approach to professional relationships and public statements than the methodological dispute. With Jared Leto, the creative conflict between Denzel Washington and Jared Leto represents one of Hollywood's most sophisticated disagreements about acting technique, opposing approaches to character development and on-set behavior created. Professional tensions that highlight fundamental questions about acting technique and collaborative responsibility. Denzel Washington's professional conflicts reveal his unwavering commitment to dignity, respect, and moral integrity in collaborative environments. These rare antagonisms demonstrate how principled leadership sometimes requires choosing character over convenience. Washington's willingness to maintain his standards, even when it creates professional tensions, has helped establish him as not just a great actor but also a moral leader in Hollywood. His conflicts with other actors show that success in the entertainment industry doesn't have to come at the expense of personal values and professional integrity.